Hey, how's it going? My name is Dan Makes TV, and 1 year ago today, after experiencing most of what the main game has to offer, I started an Iron Man. This video is episode 0 for a brand new Iron Man progression series. In my inventory, you'll see items representing key milestones in the journey so far. I'll also touch quickly on my character summary and stats to provide just a little more detail on what this account has accomplished so far. I started the account using the legendary Brus Sailor Guide as a jumping off point, with the plan to deviate and swap to the OSRS Wiki Quest Order Guide the moment I got to something I didn't feel like doing. That moment came when Mr. Sailor asked me to 3-tick Barbarian Fish for 50 hours straight. So, about a month into the account using the Wiki Quest Guide, I had progressed a good amount of the quests and decided to take on my first RNG grind, the Moons of Peril. I greenlogged that encounter using a zombie axe, glacial tomatoes, and Barrow's tank top and bottom in about 270 KC. Not bad. This set up a good foundation of early prayer, herb lore, and crafting material, and I would personally recommend any new Iron Man to do this as early in their journey as they are able. At this point, I'll sidebar to mention that at times I get ideas into my head of what I want to grind, and I will just sit there and bang it out no matter how long it takes. So after finishing the moons, I decided I wanted some range levels, so naturally I took an MSB I got from Hard Clue, along with rune and adamant arrows from Last Man Standing, and used my main to Red X a Lizard Man Shaman to receive a Dragon Warhammer in just over 350 KC. After that, I took myself over to the Royal Titans to pick up the prayer scrolls and actually ended up ghetto greenlogging them in just 102 KC. Next up was the Huayquatl, where I went just a bit dry doing mainly duos for the Dragon Hunter wand. I felt that this was important to get before really starting up Slayer for Barrage, as it was the most accessible 10% magic strength wand at the time. This is also when I decided to pick up my Berserker Ring, as well as a Dragon Axe, which took almost 500 KC to get from Dagonoth Rex. Getting that Dragon Axe sparked up a bit of a skilling spree, where I worked on grinding up my skills for any remaining quest requirements. The next grind here was to crank Slayer, targeting both Zenites and Tormented Synapses when available. I was very fortunate to receive Synapses for Emberlight at around 150 KC and Scorching Bow not long after. This let me streak Zenites to receive all 4 in just 544 KC. This absolutely generational run ended when I received my 3rd Synapse and both Burning Claws within just 621 total KC at the Tormented Demons. And when I say ended, I do mean ended. At this point, it was time for me to lock myself in the Red Prison until receiving the Bow of Ferdinand. I spent 2 months to the day killing the corrupted Hunlif 1,006 times to finally receive my enhanced crystal weapon seed. This was the only active gameplay I did during these 2 months, save for a couple of days doing Yama with my best friend Rai to help him get double death charge for his Doom grind. The first thing I did with that bow was take it to Zulrah, where I received my first unique drop at 154 KC, being a Serpentine Visage. This was a huge quality of life boost that I used to get my blowpipe at 567 KC. At this point, I was sure I had enough juice to begin grinding the Tombs of Amascut for both the Lightbearer for the Doom and the Asmumpton's Fang for general use. I had both within about 80 normal mode KCs with friends, but no black gem, lol. With a bingo coming up, I felt I had good weapon options in every slot but Mage, which was just the Dragon Hunter Wand and Warp Scepter, so it was time to start grinding the Doom. Using the Scorching Bow and Lightbearer, I was able to greenlog the Doom in a reasonable 1,384 delves, going to wave 7 and claiming. The one time I accidentally clicked continue to 8, I did get to clear, however. Bingo time hits, and it's the classic Zulrah first tile. I managed to spike both a Magma Mutagen, which didn't actually count for anything, and the Snakeling Pet, which auto-cleared the tile for the team. After running a little bit of Toa and getting Masori Mask, I felt I could manage to try and help the team out with the Gauntlet tile, as it had been a little bit since I had been in there myself. At just 1,011 KC, 5 after receiving the Bofa, I received Enhanced number 2 for the Sail Door to clear the tile. The next day, we were onto the Theater of Blood, and I was able to get into a team and spike an Avernic Defender hilt on my 8th clear. Gotta love that bingo RNG. Next up was the Duke's Callus, so I figured I'd just go ahead and get my Infernal Cape before doing that. I'd cleared the Inferno before on the main, so it really was just a quick in and out. Nothing else of note really happened the rest of that bingo, but it was definitely fun and I made a ton of great progress. This is where the Yama grind started and finished after 1,250 kills over 10 days, receiving 2 unique pieces along with shards to make the third. I will go back at some point for the Soul Flame Horn, but probably not anytime soon. After messing around a little bit in Deadman mode, I went back to Slayer on the main game, green logging the Abyssal Sire on the third Bludgeon piece. After that, I focused hard on Zombie Pirates to get the Teleport Anchoring Scroll to use at any future Abbey Demon Barrage tasks. And at this point, it really was all in on cranking Slayer again, as I was feeling good after wrapping up Sire, working through both Cerberus and Araxor, finishing Araxor on a Halberd piece at a modest 776 KC. Necreals, level 94. This felt better than pulling a 3rd Age pickaxe on the main account. Eventually, it was time for the Alchemical Hydra, which we Gigaspooned the Claw at 223 KC, followed by the Leather at just 354. This was effectively Slayer complete, minus the Pegasian Crystal from Cerberus. Next up, I decided I wanted a Voidwaker, so I spent 1 week killing Calvarion 1,205 times, Artio 1,023 times, and Spindle just 77 times. Nice. A quick little trip over to our friend Var Dorvis gave us an Altor ring at just 440 KC. Insane. However, the wheels fell off at this point when I decided to start doing medium clues, completing about 375 over just a few days. I did the Piro method to gather and did not receive Ranger boots. I have a few strong opinions on both the Ranger boots and clue gathering in general after this grind, but I will not be getting into that now. One day in March, I decided I wanted my quiver. Having done it on the main, it only took 1 day. Originally, I had wanted to wait until either one of the Venator Bow or Saradomin Godsword, but figured with the Nally, the Bofa, the Blowpipe, and the Eye of Iok, it shouldn't be too bad. The Fremenix were more annoying than doing it on the main with Gigamax gear, but overall it wasn't really an issue. After a short trip back to Duke, pulling a Virtus Robe Top, I had a friend show me the World 329 8-man TOAs. I decided, you know what, let's grind this for a little bit. This is kind of fun, it was new, and at just 61 experts, I received a Tumicant's Shadow. This really did change everything for the account and set me on directions I had not planned on until way later. In a row, we did Must Buff for Venator Bow and to Saturate the Heart, Grardor for the Bandos Godsword, and Ziliana for the Saradomin Godsword and Armadyl Crossbow. We did get a little unlucky overall in the God Wars as far as item drops go, but can't really complain after getting 2 pets. After that, we focused a little bit more on skilling for a while and TOA with the friends to try to help them get more items from the raid. I also tried my hand at solo chambers, but man, it really just was not hitting for me. I do not understand how people can say Tombs of Amascut is the worst raid in the game when Chambers of Xeric exists. I did, however, do some duos and some 3+4s and managed to snag a Dex and a Twisted Buckler along the way. This is about the time when Leagues 6 started. Didn't really participate much on the Iron Man. I did grind out the Dragon Cup on the main account while doing mainly Blood Rune crafting as the AFK for the Iron. And to keep a long rant short, of the 2 leagues I played in, this was definitely the second best. If it were more fun, I probably would have gone a little further on the Iron than just getting the Venator Bow kit along with a few extra points for something else. After leagues ended for me, I started going a little bit harder on the other Desert Treasure 2 bosses as well as Guardians of the Rift, where I have gone over 7x rate on the Abyssal Needle. Granted, the summer sweep up happening in just a few days will add bad luck protection for the Abyssal Needle. However, I don't really have any pearls at this point, as I spent them all on rerolls trying to get that needle. Overall, I'm just a little bit annoyed about how that all played out, but am definitely relieved that there is an end in sight. Sprinkling in some more Tombs of Amascut, at around 80 experts, I did complete the unique section, 7 out of 7, with the final item being Missouri Chaps. I refocused a bit here, and part of that was the Revenant grind for the weapons, as I wanted a Webweaver bow for Leviathan. While it was definitely worth getting the Web Weaver, I did not end up getting the Chainmace, unfortunately, when I decided enough was enough of being out there. Back to Turiel skipping to wrap up Slayer by receiving the Big Agent Crystal from Cerberus at just 2,092 KC, as well as enough Armadyl items to fortify my Masori set at 314 KC. This brings us to now. The Maggot King was a quick in and out with a 6 KC Rupture upgrade. The original plan here was to grind out Nex for a Nihil Horn to take on the Leviathan. However, after receiving 2 pairs of Vambraces and 2 Torva Fullhelms, I've decided to pivot completely to the Leviathan to hunt my final piece of the Soul Reaper Axe, the Leviathan's Lure. With the Summer Sweep Up changes hitting in just a couple days, this is it. This is the entire focus for the account currently. Here are the stats. Feel free to pause, as I will not be going back to this. Here is the character summary. Diary Cape is super nice. Got that a couple days ago actually, with thieving being the last requirement. Quick look at total combat achievement points. I do want to get masters done in the short term, but every time I sit down and try to hard focus it, I end up looking at like the Vorkath speedrunner and get instantly demotivated on doing any of it. Is that relatable? At this point, it's in my head, but definitely not the main focus. For time played, I will not be clicking this now or ever, most likely. And that's it. That's what this account has been up to for the last year. I couldn't possibly fit the scope of an entire year's worth of progress into just one inventory, so if there's anything else you're interested in, or if you've got any questions for me, please feel free to leave a comment and I'll respond the best I can. Thank you for watching, and please consider subscribing so that you don't miss out on episode 1 of IronDan.